Hey guys, my name's Elizabeth and I've been wanting to make YouTube videos for some time now, but I haven't really known where to start, and I finally came up with something, so here it goes. Tips for writing fiction stories, and this video was inspired by my friend Ryan, and I'll leave a link to her video, Tips for Writing Fan Fiction, in the description. So to start your story, you have to pick a topic that interests you. Because if you're not interested in it, you won't want to work on it, and then it just gets left behind and you have no idea what you wanted to do with it in the first place. So once you pick your topic, pick your setting. So when is this taking place and where? And so that's a big thing, because if you're going to do it in the past, you can't have like iPhones and whatnot unless it's like 2012, and I'll let you get away with it then. But you need to know like technology and like the buildings and like how people talked and walked and stuff like that. You also need to know your plot. And some people like to write out every single thing that's going to happen, but I personally like to just kind of have a general idea of where my story is going to go, and then I just kind of write in that direction throughout the whole thing. And so, like, you need to know, like, your conflict. And so, your main conflict is a huge thing. Without conflict, then your story is going to be boring and nobody's going to want to read it. So make sure you have a good conflict, something that you can relate to, or you know someone who can help you with it, and you're good to go for the start. Okay, so now you're ready to start, like, the actual story and start writing it. Make sure when you're writing it, you write about your own experiences, and it doesn't have to be like literally like what you did, but like maybe take some feelings that you've had, or like when you're going down a roller coaster, that adrenaline, you can put that into writing if you have like a fight scene or something. And then you also need to be the characters. Like, that may sound weird, and if you have to talk aloud, that's great, because I sometimes do that. But make yourself the character. If you were in this position, what would you do? Would you fight back? Would you run? That's a big thing, is to be able to put yourself as the character and be able to take the things that they're thinking and put it into words on the paper. And so you also need to have a lot of detail, and that's where I struggle the most, I think, because I'm just so general with what I'm writing about, like, oh, there's a building there. But that's one thing that I think really makes a story, is the detail, because then you really get a good mental image, and you know, like, exactly how everything looks, and how people are walking and talking and everything like that. And I'm going to say that a lot, so. And then you're ready to end your story. But there's many ways to do it, and sometimes it's hard to pick which way you want to do it. A common one is to just have your story resolved. If it's just a novel, then have it end, everybody's happy. Maybe even just write like what happens like after the story ends, and then that's a good one to start with. But if you want to challenge yourself, you can do like open-ended, where you leave it up to the reader to decide like what happens to all the characters. And sometimes people will hate when that happens, because they're like, oh, well, this was the author's job to tell me what happens and all that. But sometimes it's fun for people to just be like, oh, so I get to decide what happens. And then the last one I think works best if you're going to do like a sequel, if you're writing like a series, and that's a cliffhanger. Because if you have your stories resolved, then yes, you can write a sequel, but then people may not be as interested in the sequel because like everything's already been resolved. So if you want to leave like a cliffhanger, then people will be like, I gotta know what happens next, I gotta read the next book. And so it keeps people interested, and that's always something that you want to do, is keep your audience interested. So you finish your story, or maybe just like the chapter or the notebook paper page that you've been writing on, and you're ready to go back and revise it and make it better. What I like to do is, like, as soon as I'm finished writing and I'm ready to revise, I just go back and I just look at all the very simple errors, did I put punctuation in the right place, or did I misspell something? Does this make sense? Something very simple, easy. And it's right after you finish writing, so it's kind of hard to try to really change anything because everything seems so right then. But then after you do that, I always like to go back a second time. I like to take a long break, like take a shower, maybe watch a movie, get your mind off it, stop thinking about it, just do something to distract yourself. and then come back to it, and then you're looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes, and you look at this part and you're like, it would sound better like this, and you change it and you make it how you want it, and it sounds so much better. You can do this quite a few times, as many as you like, but you also want to have other people to look at it, because if it may make sense to you because you're the author, so you know what's happening. But if you have like your best friend read it and they're like, I don't know like what's happening in this part, then you're like, oh yeah, and then you can go back and you can fix it, make it clearer, and you can just make it more interesting too. I mean, also look at your word choice, because if you just use like he said, she said, they said all the time, that's not interesting. So he whispered to her, or make it interesting. And that's about it. That's what I know about writing, and I hope this helped you. And if it did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, or show this to people that you know would help them. Or if you just want to not do anything, that's fine as well. I can't force you to do anything. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making this and thinking of all the tips, and so I hope this helped, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you later. Oh my gosh, you're famous. Oh, but you're so beautiful. Okay, promise not to mess with the tripod. I love you.